Well, history in the making. NASA's Artemis II mission has slipped behind the moon on the farthest human expedition from Earth. The astronauts are the first humans to see the far side of the moon with their own eyes.
It's exciting stuff. As we look at live pictures this morning from NASA, the 4 crew on board the Orion capsule have now lost communication with Earth temporarily as planned. And they are expected to reach their maximum distance from Earth anytime during these few minutes at 406,788 kilometers. And earlier they broke the record set by the Apollo 13 mission more than half a century ago.
As we surpass the furthest distance humans have ever traveled from planet Earth, we do so in honoring the extraordinary efforts and feats of our predecessors in human space exploration. We will continue our journey even further into space before Mother Earth succeeds in pulling us back to everything that we hold dear. But we, most importantly, choose this moment to challenge this generation and the next to make sure this record is not long-lived.
The Artemis crew are expected to emerge from behind the moon within this half hour. And during their flyby, they plan to name 2 moon craters, one dedicated to Carol, as the late wife of Commander Reed Wiseman. She died of cancer in 2020.
Well, the other crater will be named Integrity after the Orion spacecraft. The crew woke up to the historic day with a message from Apollo astronaut Jim Lovell.
Welcome to my old neighborhood. When Frank Borman and Bill Andrews and I orbited the moon on Apollo 8, we got humanity's first up-close look at the moon and got a view of the home planet that inspired and united people around the world. I'm proud to pass that torch on to you as you swing around the moon and lay the groundwork for missions to Mars for the benefit of all. It's a historic day, and I know how busy you'll be, but don't forget to enjoy the view.
Well, for more, we're joined by Dr. Brad Tucker. He's an astrophysicist and cosmologist at ANU Research School of Astronomy and Astrophysics. Thank you so much for Dr. Tucker for joining us. And what a moment, Orion venturing further than ever before. What can astronauts see and study from up there that satellites and robots haven't already shown us?
Yeah, look, it's a great question because, we have a lot of imagery both on board here, but previous satellites. What we're seeing, though, is, the human eye can pick up different hues and ranges of dynamic color that sometimes the camera can't. It can also detect subtleties and some of the shades. The other thing is some of the real-time events. They keep talking about, if anyone's watched the broadcast, these bright flashes. These are actually impacts from small meteors that have hit the moon in real time. Every day on Earth, we get about 200 tons worth of space rock hitting the Earth. Most of that burns up completely, and sometimes we see it as a little shooting star or meteor. The moon, with the lack of atmosphere, doesn't have it. So they're getting a real-time measurement of some of these little particles bombarding the moon that a camera really can't see because it's not doing this constant monitoring looking over a large area.
Dr. Tucker, beyond the symbolism of bringing humans further from Earth than ever before, what does this milestone, which I have to admit gets me emotional just watching and listening to the tributes, what does this milestone tell us about how ready Orion is for deeper space missions?
Yeah, look, I think it's a great question because this is all about how do we do long-term missions to the moon, and then even as we were hearing from that recording from Jim Lovell, go on to Mars. And I think a lot of people are also thinking, well, we did this in the 60s. It's been, why is this all about? This is really testing the entire system. This is the new rocket with the new capsule and the first time carrying humans in there. Humans have built cars for 100 years and airplanes for 100 years. But when you build a new one, you still want to test it to make sure everything works, especially small detail. We've seen problems with equipment, even the toilet early on the capsule. But for the most part, the major systems have performed well. So there's some kind of debugging and perfecting that everything wants to do. So I think right now NASA has to be happy how the performance has gone to show that, yeah, there's going to be nothing really major required to get it ready for Artemis II, which is due next year to do docking with the capsule that would take humans down to the moon around the moon next year, and then Artemis IV, which is really the big one next, and that is actually getting humans down to the surface. So I think so far everyone is saying, yeah, it does appear ready for those, really setting up then those next steps of operating longer term on the moon to then focus on Mars.
Okay, so Dr. Artemis II is flying over the moon's far side, which we never see from Earth. Why is that hidden terrain so important for science and for planning future missions?
Yeah, look, the far side, that side, as you said, that we don't see, it's actually geologically different. So a great example, when you look at the moon tonight, you'll see that the dark areas, and sometimes we call those dark areas the man in the moon or the rabbit in the moon or something else. Those, what we call Mari, those are the most recent volcanic lava flows from about 3 billion years ago, and they do not exist on the far side of the moon. The far side of the moon, as you're kind of seeing a clip of it now, doesn't have those real dark areas, and it's thinner. It's actually less deep than the near side, and this has to do with how the moon is formed. So what we're really starting to understand is what the composition of that far side is. It is believed that there's actually resources and minerals and elements that are very abundant on the far side that is actually not on the near side. One of the issues with the side that faces us, the near side, is the Earth's atmosphere, which gets a little blown off by the sun, changes a bit of the composition on the side facing us, whereas the far side is protected. So it's a little bit more pristine in terms of what exists on the moon. So for all these reasons, that's why there's a lot of countries, and not just the US, this is a place where China has vastly explored with its moon missions, that is interested in that side.
Okay, so as Orion slips behind the moon and Earth contact is lost, what's that moment like for the crew in mission control? And what does this sort of brief communications blackout teach NASA about keeping astronauts safe when they're completely out of reach?
Yeah, very much so, right? Parents who maybe have not realized where their children were for maybe 20, 30 minutes, or maybe understand a bit of the nervousness and panic. You really have to rely on their training, the astronauts' training, and all of the testing you've done before. And so it's got this nervous waiting about when are they coming back, because obviously the precise moment, it should be in about 15 minutes now, but there's going to be a range, is expected. But if there's a problem, you're not there to help it. And so what it really is that hopefully all of that training and engineering and testing you've done in the literal years before pays off. Now, with the astronauts, it's a bit weird, right? You are literally the only 4 humans together. There is no other human contact. And that's a really weird, strange feeling. And so that's where having them have trained together and spend so much time on this mission together is quite important, because if something does go wrong, as minor as it may be, it is they have the 3 other people in addition to themselves to rely on. And that actually is a lot of the training and preparation that has to go into this. We talk a lot about the physical effects, but it's that mental aptitude and ability to deal with potential challenges that really makes an astronaut an astronaut.
Dr. Brad Tucker, thank you so much. We can feel your passion all the way from here, and I'm sure they can feel it in space too. Astrophysics and cosmologist at the ANU Research School of Astronomy and Astrophysics. Thank you.
And of course, you can find more about Artemis II on our website, cna.asia, and our mobile app, including this article that breaks down everything you need to know about NASA's first crewed mission towards the moon in more than 50 years.